Hi everyone, my name is Maor and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about 5 things to give up to immediately raise your vibration. The first thing is self-victimization. Now, what does that mean? It means when we are not assuming full responsibility for 2 things. On the first level, it's the emotional level, meaning someone said something bad about me, someone made me feel bad, someone has traumatized me in my life, or a story I keep telling myself. A father figure, a mother figure, an ex that has traumatized me and therefore I'm not trusting anybody else. That is the assuming responsibility for my emotional state, meaning I take full responsibility. For example, somebody said something bad about me. It's not that they made me feel bad, it's that I choose to feel bad. I choose to be insulted. And when we are victimizing ourselves, we're kind of like pointing a finger at somebody else instead of assuming responsibility. The second level of responsibility and to get out of self-victimization is the soul level, meaning the spiritual level, understanding that we chose everything in our path. The people that we're going to meet, the circumstances, they all came to teach us something. And as long as we're not learning the lesson that we should be learning, then the universe will always kick it up a notch, as one might say. Meaning in the beginning it will be a pinch, after that it will be a push, and then it will be just grabbing and shaking us until we wake up. So the second level to escape the self-victimization is to assume full responsibility on the soul level, meaning there's a circumstance, I was in an accident, I had a relationship, all those things I pre-chose in order for me to learn something. Therefore, it is also my responsibility. Second thing to leave behind in order to raise your vibration is loop thinking. Now, most people, what we do is 99% of our thoughts are really repetitive thoughts. Repetitive thoughts about our relationship, about what we want to be in life, about the things that we don't want to have in our life, about the future and imagining it, even though the future is an illusion that will never come to pass like we planned it, or analyzing the past, where we have failed, what we have done good or bad. All of those things are called loop thinking. Now, the more time you spend in the future and in the past, the less time you are present in the now. Now, most of you that are following me, you're already on an ascended course of your spirituality. And what you're seeking are new things to understand and enhance. Now, a lot of the things that I'm talking about, you already understand, but you don't really practice them. You want more, just to say like there's a big V, I'm looking at things on a mental level, but on the action level in the material world, I'm still not practicing it. So in order to stop loop thinking, what you need to do is catch yourself when you're thinking about the future or catch yourself when you're thinking about the past, take a big breath and bring yourself back to focus of the now. Practice this enough times, you'll become much more self-aware. Another level or a layer of awareness will come into your mind just before. It's sort of like in some of the videos that we were talking about judgment. And what I told you is when you catch yourself judging, don't judge yourself judging, but instead give a compliment to that person and another one. So one is to neutralize it and another one is to add to it, meaning you're going to the positive in the whole circumstance, in the whole situation. So like we said, the second thing to immediately give up is those loop thinkings. Now don't go from black to white, from 0 to 100 immediately. What you can do is just pace yourself. Become more aware of the loop thinking and every time bring yourself back to center. It's sort of like when you begin meditating, then you see that you're escaping to thoughts, accept them, become detached from them, absorb the thought. Don't go chasing why did I think that and attach yourself to it. So again, come back to the present moment and stop the loop thinking, which is also considered overthinking, which is something that all of us are suffering now that we have so many things around us. So many advertisements around us, so many variety of things to choose from, food, partners, different exercises. Like we've been bombarded with information in this stage, and therefore we are overthinking. The next thing that we can immediately give up to raise our vibration is obviously, this is coming from me, low vibrational food. Beginning with things like meat. That you all know that vegetarians and vegans are people who are working more on their spirituality. The entire country of India, for example, they gave up things like meat, things like other things that keep us really, really heavy. Bread of all sorts, gluten. You already know the highest vibrational food is fruit. That's why you have people who are fruitarians and liquidarians, but you don't have people who are just living off vegetables all the time. Now, you already know, because everyone is special. If you are eating something and you feel that it's grounding you a lot, then that means that's the type of food that is low vibrational for you. Now, don't give it all up immediately because you're not used to it. Do it gradually. First thing, if you're still eating meat, I would look at all these like subconscious videos like Gary and all those people that are like really extreme and anonymous. Maybe that will help you transcend your addiction to meat. Maybe socially you need to change something. I know that with me, about 7 or 8 years ago, when I was still eating meat, one time I started dating a woman that was in all these anonymous organizations, and in one night she just changed my mind. I understood that I have more compassion towards animals. So you already know what low vibrational food is. I'm not going to go into that. I'm just bringing it back into your awareness. I would make the right decision according to your heart and according to your consciousness level of awareness, because you probably understand and know that those that want to step up and want to progress in their life eventually will leave meat behind them and they won't need it anymore. Next thing to give up if you want to raise your vibration immediately is fear. Now, when I'm talking about fear, I'm not talking about being in the corner, shaking and afraid. No, I'm talking about those fears that we're not aware of in our life. A part of our progress as people, stepping ahead, consciousness development, or a personal awakening process is constantly working on our fears. One by one, we're letting them go. It can be a fear of being alone. It can be a fear of not having enough money. It can be the fear of death or fear of illness. It can be even a fear of loving your children too much. Because sometimes when we take care of, we think about a person and we think that we're doing it out of love, we're actually doing it out of a fear of how we are going to feel if something bad is going to happen to this person. So that means it's our stuff. It's our things that are coming up that we need to deal with and not theirs. And we're actually projecting it upon them. And we're moving our karma to them, especially things like children, close friends, partners, people like that. So I'm going to do a whole video about facing your fears and dealing with your fears. But the first step in raising your vibration is understanding what is my fear. How do I become more aware of my fear? And that is by analyzing myself, analyzing my decision-making process, talking to people about it, professional or otherwise, with your friends, and really looking at myself as an observer, from an observer objective perspective, and understanding what it is that makes me tick and what is it that makes me untick. For example, am I afraid to leave my job? Am I afraid to leave my relationship? Am I afraid not to answer that phone call from a friend because I'm afraid of being alone? And then with time, you can actually make a whole list of things that you're afraid of and then start working on them one by one, seeing where you can progress. Now, if you look back at yourself 5 years ago, you would probably see a person that had less fears in his life. Why? Because once you work one of those fears out, the fear doesn't introduce itself in your life anymore, because it's sort of like a video game. You've leveled up. So think about that, because fear is the opposite vibration of love. And right now in the world, they're really trying to make you afraid. Afraid of society, afraid of what people are going to say about you, afraid about how you're going to dress and what people will say, about how you're dancing, about material possession, the car you drive, the woman or the man you date, the house you live in or the environment you live in. In other countries, like in our countries, it's more a political, economical fear, meaning be afraid, they're going to attack you, there's a war coming any second now. And basically the news is about fear. Like 90% of the news, it's not going to be, oh, there's a new elephant that was born in the zoo. No, it's going to be, this shit is hit the fan, and this crisis is taking place in North Korea. They want you to be afraid, and we get addicted to the negative news. They're more interested for us. For example, the title of this video is attracting more people than a positive. If I'm going to say 5 methods to immediately, 5 things to give up to raise your vibration, I'm tempting to bring out the fear, instead of saying 5 things to do to raise your vibration. Think about that. You're more attracted to that type of title than the first one. Why? Because we are fear-based in some way. So recognize those fears and start working on them one by one, one by one. The awareness itself is half of the work that you need to be doing. That's the amazing thing. When you become aware of your fear, suddenly you start working with it. The last thing you need to give up, and this is like the new generation of children, you've probably noticed that they're highly individual, is planning ahead. Now, I'm not saying don't generally plan ahead, meaning in 2019, I have this in this workshop, I know in this country, and I want to have a baby next year, or I want to go traveling. That's not planning ahead. Planning ahead meaning I need to know everything in my life. And that means I'm not trusting the universe, I'm not surrendering to my higher self or to my guidance or the creator / God / everything, and I'm not trusting enough. And that's a thing that really lowers our vibration, meaning I'm constantly in a state of fear, of understanding that things are not working out for me, and therefore I cannot attract the right synchronicity stances into my life. So what I'm saying is that the new generation of children are actually teaching us that they're not planning ahead too much, but they're kind of like trusting the every day, the every second, that things will work out the way they're supposed to work out. So I'm saying plan ahead, meaning vibrationally fit yourself to that future scheme that you want to belong to, that thing you want, that relationship you want, whatever it is, vibrationally fit yourself to that, and then let go of the expectation and allow the universe to take you in the path of least resistance and in the best way for all that are concerned. So let go of that a little bit. Don't try to control everything in your life. Understand you don't have control of everything in your life. And if you do, it's a mental state. It's a mental state that you're not letting go, you're not trusting enough. So, my name is Maor. This video was about 5 things to give up to immediately raise your vibration. I hope that you took at least 1 or 2 of these things into your life. If you enjoy this, sign up to my newsletter in www.raymaor.com, or simply come on the website to check out my online schedule and to see more videos. Thank you very much for being with me.